The economy, in the opinion of the majority, is about to decline, even further as the bear market has reached a new low. The global economy is about to undergo historical change, and we are headed for a protracted and unpleasant recession. In fact, according to Goldman Sachs, China will experience zero growth in 2023. Interest rates are predicted to rise significantly more, and even the Federal Reserve predicted rising unemployment rather than continuing its current course of destroying unaffordable price increases. Here's what you need to know about how far our economy has fallen and why it's likely to get worse. Welcome to the Financial Flow. Please like and subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay up on our latest videos. On the most fundamental level, interest rates control everything, from the value of our money to the cost of our investments, to the trajectory of the entire economy based on job growth, demand, and profit. Without getting too technical, the Federal Reserve's interest rates is what determines how much banks must pay one another when they lend each other money. And that, in turn, indirectly affects the interest rates being offered on virtually everything, where money is borrowed from one person to another, including personal loans, mortgages, credit cards, and other financial products. Because of this, when interest rates are low, borrowing money is inexpensive, and people spend more. However, when interest rates are high, both individuals and businesses make reductions in spending, which slows demand. Because of this, nearly every stock index has fallen 20% this year alone, and more mortgages are now twice as expensive. As a result, experts warn that investors will suffer while the economy stagnates. However, the entire world is involved in this instance, not just the United States. On realizing that people aren't spending as much as they used to, growth predictions have started to drop dramatically. Almost every business in existence is being impacted by the fact that the higher prices are starting to reduce discretionary spending. The stock market has naturally declined from its peak as a result of higher interest rates, less discretionary consumer spending, and slower growth. Most people would now compare the 10-year Treasury with the S&P 500, demonstrating that the stock market miraculously started moving higher after trading sideways for nearly 2 decades, as soon as interest rates started to decline. However, the majority of analysts are predicting what is known as an earnings recession if businesses report lower profits than anticipated over the course of the following years. But in the big picture, the Federal Reserve is actually experiencing an earnings recession, because cutting back on spending will result in lower prices, demand, and inflation. Home prices don't change every minute like stock prices do. Because of this, it is much more like maneuvering a ship. Turning the steering wheel has no immediate effects, but instead establishes a new course that only becomes apparent after a sufficient amount of time. In his most recent speech, Jerome Powell expressed concern that the housing market is likely to experience a 10 to 20% correction. He stated that better supply and demand alignment is necessary to ensure that housing prices increase at a reasonable rate and at a reasonable cost. After reaching a peak in June, home sales have now started to decline, with a decline of about 6% in August. Higher mortgage rates have a significant impact on affordability and what buyers are willing to pay for a home, which has a negative impact on this. Now, thankfully, it doesn't seem as though there will be a housing correction anywhere near what we experienced in 2008. But many markets are experiencing a decline of up to 10%, and generally speaking, that will probably translate to more affordable pricing for buyers. The next category is bonds, which are essentially a way to borrow money and receive repayment with a predetermined amount of interest. And as of right now, if you went to buy a treasury bond that was fully guaranteed by the US government, they would guarantee you a return of 4% if you held it for a year. Higher bond returns actually result in less money flowing into other investable assets, which drives down prices across the board. It's possible that the bonds would offer an even greater return if interest rates rose even further than they already are. If someone is holding on to cash, they are losing value due to inflation, but if they aren't, they are in a precarious position. Should their investments fail, they lose their job and they need something to fall back on. Because of this, I believe that money should be managed just like any other investment, with enough cash set aside to pay for your expenses for 3 to 6 months. Here's what you need to know, because the reason why the typical investor receives such a poor return is one that can be easily avoided. It's important to note how terrible the average investor is when it comes to investing over the coming few years so that you don't make the same errors. Just 1/10 of the market's overall return is generated over a 30-year period by the typical investor. There is actually never a period of time when the typical investor surpasses or even comes close to matching the simplest market returns. Most investors have a propensity to sell at the worst possible time and to buy once the market has already experienced an upward trend, typically out of a sense of not wanting to miss out. They essentially sell at the bottom and buy at the peak, reducing overall returns. In addition, he makes a good point about how luck plays a role in how successful you are over the course of a decade. After all, if you had begun investing in 2000, you would have suffered a financial loss 10 years later, whereas if you had begun in 2010, you would have more than doubled your investment, maintaining a balanced portfolio of bonds, which are typically much more stable and may even increase in price during a period when stocks decline, is the best course of action in this situation. It's interesting to note that markets typically bottom out between 1 and 2 years, after which they take 2.5 years to recover. By consistently buying, you can take advantage of the low prices while also benefiting from the possibility that eventually things will get back to normal. Additionally, every single study demonstrates that your chances of losing money decrease the longer you invest. Everything that occurs on the stock market over the ensuing decades is just white noise. A little bit of real estate was neglected. Since most buyers choose a property based on its potential for cash flow rather than the state of the market as a whole, commercial real estate has so far largely escaped the effects of the market. A building is therefore worth $1 million if it earns $50,000 per year and generates a 5% return on sales. And eventually, buyers will stop taking out loans at 6% to purchase properties that only generate 4%. To me, it's simply unsustainable, and the only logical way to make commercial real estate more profitable is to reduce the purchase price. Never forget to keep a little bit of extra cash on hand until things settle down. In conclusion, most investors will likely find this year to be challenging, which is to be expected. There will be years where you lose money. It's a natural part of the process because investments don't always go up. But don't let that discourage you. If anything, the fact that you can purchase everything for less money today than you could have a year ago should inspire you. Although it's never enjoyable to lose money or watch your investments depreciate, this is a very long-term game. In order to continue investing as usual, make sure you have enough cash on hand. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Have a good one.